Doot doot. Oh, and we're live.
We're live.
We're live. We're streaming. It's going on. It's happening. It's a thing. Raise the dead. Zombies. Story. Writing.
Jan.
Hello. Oh, I'm as big on the screen as you are. What's that about?
What? You don't want to be that big?
I thought I'd be
You're.
well, you're the focus of this thing.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, we can
I thought
all just get along normally and all be super participants. That's the word. That's the word. I can't talk.
I think you're doing a great job of talking.
I am a
I
good
thought
talker.
I thought I'd be a little tiny postage stamp up in the corner, but that's okay.
No. You're the architect of fun, you know? You gotta...
I guess so. You did the fanciness at the bottom of the page. I had no idea you could even do this stuff. Thanks for doing that.
Of course. Well, if you had brought me in long ago, it's fine. Your Twitches have been amazing. I'm having fun watching them and learning and watching Matt create a whole bunch of things. And you make
Yeah,
a level.
Yeah, I know Matt in particular has been having a good time doing it. He went for 7 hours yesterday, I think.
I know. Like, I literally stopped in at my lunch break, and then I got home, and he was still going, and I was like, really? That's dedication.
Yep, he's nuts. He's a nut job. All right, we're stalling a little bit just to give time for people to come on in here. Um, yeah.
Hey everybody
Um,
that's hanging out in the stream. What are you guys up to today? Thanks for joining us, by the way. Like, that's super awesome of you, especially because it's super early here on Pacific Standard Time. It's like 11 o'clock.
super early. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
people are either sleeping or at work right now. So people that are joining us are amazingly cool.
I don't think many people are sleeping right now. If they are, they shouldn't be. Shame on them. Anyway, so, I mean, I guess I'll kind of talk about what we're going to do. I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions of Anna here. And, and if any of you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I may or may not actually ask them because we're a little bit weary of spoilers, but
I'm gonna
if it is,
spoil the shit out of everything, just so you know.
that's yeah, she probably will. But yeah, yeah, please ask questions if you have them. And go out and tell your friends to hop on here and join us.
Do it. Do it now, all of you. Join
I'd
us.
also, yeah, I also wanted to point out that Anna made her bed today. So if you take a look behind her to the left, you'll see. Oh, there's a cat on your bed too.
Oh yeah, Hippo's
Is that
joining
part of
us.
the? Is that part of the bed making process? Putting your cat right in the middle.
No, she put her butt right there herself. Yeah, so basically we were setting everything up and Chris bed shamed me. He's like, your bed is not made, it looks awful. So he basically guilted me into making my bed, and I really hate making my bed. I don't understand the point in bed making because you just undo it again at the end of the day. So this, you are lucky that you're seeing a made bed right now. I did it all for
Yes.
you guys.
Yeah, so everybody have me to thank for that. I think it looks really nice. I'm pretty sure by the end of this, you're going to get so many compliments on it that
I
you're
better.
going to do it. You're going to do it every day, and
I
you're going to
better.
like it. Yeah. So, all right. So, hey, what have you been playing lately?
Well,
Games.
I've been playing Sims. Not sure if you guys watch my stream, which I know some of you do, because I know your guys' handles by heart now. Lots of Sims, and I just started Destiny yesterday, which is ridiculous. Like, I don't... So we're talking story today, right? And there is, like, no story in Destiny. Not sure if you know this, but the story is literally, like, if you took... So let's say, okay, we have concepts. Let's take aliens, let's take post-apocalyptic, and let's take shooting things. That's your story in Destiny, right? And you just sort of put it all in a blender, and you mix it up, and then you dump half of it out, right? And then you dump the other half into a toilet, and you flush the toilet. And then, you know, sometimes you get particles coming back up. Those particles are the story in
Wow.
Destiny. There is no story. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I even here? Why am I shooting these aliens? It's just
Wow.
it's
You know, if I ever had any doubts about hiring you as our writer, you just removed all of them with that
really?
little tail.
Yeah, good.
Yes, that was wonderful. Yes.
So I'm still trying
Ah,
to figure out the exact why I'm doing what I'm doing in Destiny, but it is a lot of fun. Like I will say, the multiplayer aspect and getting to play with friends is super super awesome, and all the armor looks cool. But yeah, other than that, I really like story, obviously because I'm a writer, and if there's no story, I'm just a little confused about why I'm playing a game. But everyone else is playing Destiny, so I had to do it. And then, of course, Sims, where I'm just creating my own dramas because that's what you do in Sims. You build houses and you create a soap opera, and then you just let them go and you watch as the train wreck happens.
right. So not enough drama in real life. So you want
Duckles, you know what? Duckles like my story too. He says I'm being a little generous with the description of Destiny. Thanks, Duckles. I'm glad you're on like the
to.
same wavelength as me.
Yeah. Wow. All right. I'm even less excited for that game now than I was before. I assumed it would have some sort of story, but
There's a
sounds like not
story. It's
much.
just buried within lots of guns and alien bodies.
Right.
I'm gonna find it and I'll tell you about it as soon as I figure out. There was like a cutscene also with this dude who like had a giant mask on and it was like telling me about something. I wasn't even paying attention because it was so uninteresting. But there was a cut story and he was just talking in riddles and I was like, just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing already, old man. And he wouldn't.
Sounds awesome. Sounds
You
awesome.
sound bored. Should we move on?
No, that's just my voice. I always sound bored. I'm not. I'm actually extremely excited and energetic inside,
Yeah.
but never externally. Yeah. You just have to take my word for it.
I believe you, Chris. I believe you.
So you should ask me what games I've been playing.
Should I? What games have you been playing, Christopher Cobb?
Nothing really.
I know, you've been busy working your butt off with this Kickstarter, which
No,
is amazing, by the way. Can we give props to the people, to Ragtag Studios, for, like, setting up this giant Kickstarter and, like, being so diligent with it? Like, I am so impressed that you guys were able to surpass your goal in, like, five days. Like, that's amazing.
well, thank you. Definitely feels good. Yeah, it's a heck of a lot of work putting a Kickstarter together, but really, got to be more thankful to everyone that's giving their money to people they don't know that are making a crazy game. So that's what blows my mind more than anything. So
Yes, thank you to all you people out there in the world that have donated or tweeted about it or just done anything like telling your friends. Like, we super appreciate you. Here's a little heart for you guys.
I'm having a hard time getting used to the video delay here. I gotta maybe just not watch the video at all. Anyway, I'm still new at Twitch, everybody. Sorry about that. We've been having a lot of practice lately, though, because we've been streaming all kinds of cool stuff, just like what you're watching right now. Matt, in particular, who's sitting right behind me, right over there.
Are you
He's
guys
letting
getting a pizza right now? Did you order a pizza and not invite me over?
Actually, no, he's letting a plumber in, and my dog is being very
That's less fun than a pizza.
concerned. Yeah. Sorry. Wow. This is.
We're getting Twitch.
Oh.
We're getting Twitch bombed right now by a plumber and Cecil. This is great.
Sorry about that. I should probably say, we have kind of a weird setup here in case people are wondering. So Matt and I lived in Chicago recently, and we just recently moved down to Texas. So we live in Texas now. And even weirder, we actually ended up getting a house together because it would save us a lot of money. We don't have, we're not making any money right now working on this game. So to save money, we actually got a house together. So this might have looked like an office at first, but it's not an office. It's actually the living room of this big house we're living in. So that's why we're all walking around barefoot and plumbers are coming in and out and that kind of thing. So just thought I'd get that out there.
Shall we do this? Shall we get started?
I think we should.
Let's do it.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be asking Anna some questions. One thing I just want to let everybody know is that, this game has been in production for quite a while now, over 2 years, close to 2.5 years. And, the majority of the story up till recently has been developed by the three of us, me, Matt, and Sean. But more recently, we've brought on some help to, we decided that story is such an important part of this game that we really want to get people helping us out that can devote give it their full attention, because the story it's so important to us that it's worth that. It might sound weird that it's not important enough for us to spearhead, but with only three of us working on this game, there's only so much we can take on. Anyway, so we've had a few people helping us out, one of which is in the chat here, Mr. Scott Nichols. Sorry, my dog's making a noise back there. He's helped us out a bit, and also Aenne has been somewhat recently hired as our sort of our lead narrative writer. So, yay! So anyway, I'm just letting you know that we've done a lot with her, but she's also still relatively new to the project. So there might be some points where I jump in and answer some questions, that kind of thing.
Because they don't tell me things; they just tell me a little bit, and then I have to go, and then I get in trouble, and then they fix things.
Very secretive for sure. And also another thing is there are certain things that we're not going to get into, because the game is very story heavy. Obviously, that's why we're having a stream talking about the story. But there's a lot of things that we just aren't ready to talk about yet, and we don't want to spoil it for anybody. That's good enough to play our game at the end. So
this is a spoiler-free stream, you guys. So
yeah, we're gonna do our best. So so first I just want to ask some questions about Aenne herself and the process of getting started working on the game and everything. So how did you get involved with the project?
Well, I'm so glad you asked this, Chris. It all started not last April, but the April before that. It was my first PAX East, and I was super excited. I was doing media for Press to Reset. And, whenever the Indie Mega Booth puts out their, these are the games that we're going to show at the Mega Booth this year, I always instantly go for them because I love indie games so much. I mean, I think really the indie game scene is where it's at if you want cool, amazing, diverse games. So me and my friend Melissa were checking it out, and we stumbled upon, of course, Raise the Dead. And then Melissa she made a appointment with you guys to come check it out, I believe. Or we just stopped by. I can't remember exactly. All I know is she was really excited about Raise the Dead. I was excited, but I feel like Melissa was even more excited. And I was like, what are we going to do during the press hour? Because at PAX, there's a press hour on the first day where you just get to go and have the whole PAX floor to yourself, which is super exciting. So we made a beeline right for the Indie Mega Booth, and we actually visited you guys right after we visited Trinket Studios because we had to go see Color Sheep because it's adorable. And we played your game, and it was really fun. And so then, through that, I met you guys, and, we started becoming Twitter friends and just hanging out. And then eventually, you had told me that you were looking to hire a couple more writers or another writer to take on board for Raise the Dead. And as a fan of Raise the Dead, playing it at East, as a writer, I was like, this seems like a golden opportunity. So I went ahead and applied. And now I'm here. So that's pretty awesome. I was lucky enough that these guys enjoyed my writing enough to give me a chance to help them.
Yeah, definitely. So it's weird to ask these questions because I already know the answer. But anyway, can you talk a little bit about the process of actually applying for the job? I know we put you through the ringer.
You guys did. It was the most torturous piece of my life that I've ever gone through because the waits were ridiculous. Not saying that I'm complaining, but I think it feels so much longer when you're just waiting to hear back, and every single day you're like, so, when am I gonna know? Just tell me if I didn't make it. And I'm really bad at waiting patiently also, so for me it was super...
Yes, you are.
Yeah, it was super, like I said, torturous. But the overall process was... Can I talk a little bit about the different steps that you guys had? Is that okay?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So the first step was, of course, sending in some writing samples, which was pretty cool because I already have, a writing portfolio. So I sent that off, and obviously they liked it enough to move me on through the second phase. And the second phase was when things really got interesting. They had sent us basically I don't know, it was like a 10-page rough, really, really rough draft of the overall story, and Chris was like, "Okay, go ahead and make this a complete story. Like, make it flow and make it make sense." And that in itself was quite a challenge. Like, I know originally you guys in the application had put like 1 to 2 pages, and I was like freaking out because I was like, "There's no way I can turn like 10 to 15 pages into 2 pages of story. Like, there's just so much involved and so much that you guys had that to shorten that into 2 pages was ridiculous." So I thought I was going to automatically get disqualified if I had like 3 or 4 pages. And then along with combining or making the story one complete story, we also had to send in some dialogue samples. And I really like writing dialogue. I've been a writer my entire life. And so I always felt like my strength lies in my dialogue because I like to make interesting characters and I like to express them through the dialogue. And luckily, Chris was kind enough to, like I said, they decided that they liked my dialogue and I got to be part of the team after the second round of applications.
Yeah, definitely. We were all I think we interviewed. Well, we had about 40 people that expressed interest.
Really?
And
That's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, it was a lot. And they all sent in, at least a description of their experience or whatever. And from there, I think we narrowed it down to maybe 8 people and started putting them through this
The ringer.
this admittedly a bit overly elaborate test. And then it went down to 4 people, and then then we ended up with Anna, and definitely we were all like super impressed with her dialogue. It made all of us laugh. We were really impressed with how she just really nailed the mood and tone of the game. As I mentioned, I have no emotion, so it's particularly difficult to make me laugh. So if someone can make me, actually laugh, then that counts for a lot in my
Yay.
book. So yeah, so that actually. Sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say
I was just
something?
going to say, I think it also helps that I severely have a fond place in my hearts for anything zombies. I I like to think about zombie scenarios like all the time. Like, I've got a plan all laid out in case the zombie apocalypse happens. So it's great that I get to basically write for not only my friends, but I get to write about a genre that I'm really passionate about.
Cool. Well, that's good. And it's good to know that you'll be safe in case the zombie apocalypse happens. Because even if it happens, we still have to finish this game.
Yeah, of course. Well,
So, yeah. Okay.
While we're on
So
our
it's-
cruise ship.
Right. Just making that clear. So it's actually, I'm going to go out of order of my questions a little bit just because we were talking about the dialogue. But the guys at Ragtag were particularly impressed with your dialogue. How did you go about deciding on, the right tone, or how did you arrive at what you ultimately pitched us? Can you talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, I can. Well, basically, it's a little bit of mixing and molding like what you guys had presented in line because we had the synopsis. So I gathered, based off what you guys had given us, how you sort of wanted the characters to be, and then I sort of put my own spin on it. And I took definitely Matt's art really helped with it too, because I got to play the demo, so I think that also helped me to realize the characters. Just because I took everything and sort of molded it all together, and then imagined how a game that I would like to play and the dialogue that I would like to see. And I know you guys were going for a funny yet serious tone, and I just went with it. It's sort of hard to describe like how you plan a character based on someone else's character, and that is a challenging aspect of writing for you guys, just because you all have these visions of your characters, and so you're like, I don't want to mess your character up, but I still want to be able to put my own voice to the characters on how I see it.
Right, right. Yeah, I think you kind of touched on one of the most probably difficult and possibly annoying things about working with us is that because there's only three of us and because, we have our hands full with so many other aspects of the game, it's really important to us that the people we work with just kind of have this weird kind of like second sense instinct about what it is that we are looking for with this game. So if that just whenever we find that that just comes naturally to somebody, that's a major thumbs up for that person. Because the less we have to hold their hand and that kind of thing and massage everything to get it exactly the way we want, the better. So that. I think that again, the dialogue really nailing it on the first try was a big plus in the yes
Flatter
column
me.
for us. Yeah. So yeah, good job with that.
Thank you.
So, okay, so what is it like? And you can feel free to talk bad about us in this
Oh,
question.
I will. Don't worry.
Okay, what's it like to come into a project that already has its story underway and it already has three people that feel very strongly about their story? What kind of challenges does that pose for someone in your position?
Well, first of all, challenges is the correct word because it is extremely, extremely challenging. Especially because each one of the guys in Ragtag has a little specific way of how they envision the story going. So not only are you working with one story, but you're essentially I'm trying to mold four stories into one because there's how I see it based on what you guys have told me. There's your vision, Chris, there's Matt's vision, there's Sean's vision, and somehow I have to put them all together in a cohesive story that makes sense and makes all of you guys happy. I mean, it's a great challenge. I'm not trying to talk much shit about it, but it's I want to make it so that everybody likes it, and I want to make it so you guys like it out there who are going to be playing it, and I want to make it so Ragtag likes it, and I want to make it how I like it. So it's just a matter of, you write it how, we'll go over a part, and I'll be like, okay, here's the intro scene that we're going to go and talk about, and then I'll write my story overview, and then we'll come get together and we'll go over it, and Chris will be like, oh, I hate this line, or I hate that you did this to the characters. I'm like, okay, so let's fix it. It's a lot of revision and it's a lot of work, and it's still a lot of work. We're still in the middle of, making sure that the story is cohesive and everything makes sense. So it's just a lot of work, but I mean, it's a good challenge. I like that I get to have this challenge and get to know you all much better through how you guys envision the story.
Right. Cool. Yeah. No, it means a lot to us that we realize that this is a very difficult situation, and in fact, we made a really big point of that when we first put the call out for this job. So, because we knew that it was going to be tough for anyone coming into the situation, and we wanted anyone that was interested to be prepared for that. And in fact, a lot of people kind of right from the get-go weren't interested because of the situation. So, yeah.
Never give
So.
up.
Yeah. So anyway, you're doing a really good job. We know that we're all pretty, thick-headed about our ideas and that kind of thing. But it's cool to see how just bringing someone else in that can either reinterpret our old ideas or bring some new ones to the equation. It's really going a long way toward making our story cohesive.
And we're all working together to bring you guys the most amazing story ever. Like, you guys are going to love it, like, for reals. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it definitely. I think we haven't really made it clear that story is a super big part of the game. We're kind of, with this Kickstarter, it's kind of the start of making that known to people, right down to the like primary image that's up there now of Ray looking insightfully at his reflection in the puddle. Like, that's supposed to sort of represent that there's a much deeper side to this game than you might have originally thought. Your cat's licking itself behind you, by the way.
She just wants to show off her little butt. Some cat butts in the stream.
Yeah. Okay, so my next question might be kind of redundant. It was, what's it like to work with the Ragtag guys? You kind of just answered that, but
It's awful.
second-
I hate it.
yeah, the second part of that question is rank the three of them in order from nicest to least nice.
Matt? Well, okay. Sean is the nicest. Matt is the second nicest, and you're the meanest.
That's pretty much what I thought you'd say. I uh, I feel like other people might have slightly different rankings, but I figured that would be yours because
Well,
I'm kind of mean to you.
and I feel like we're pretty good friends, so like I can sass you, and you can sass me.
Yeah, probably. I think Scott would probably say that Sean's the meanest,
Really?
but maybe Scott
Sean?
can chime in. Yeah, he can get fired up if you push his buttons. He
I
can
want
get
to see
fired up.
this. I want to see
Yeah,
him be
you
mean.
haven't? No, it's a little scary. He breaks stuff and he punches things. You should see his knuckles. They're scarred from punching so many walls
I want to see
and
it.
tables. Yeah, it's rough. But anyway, okay. So sorry, I had to get a couple of dumb questions in here, and that was one of them. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm mean. I'll try to work on it.
It's okay. It's because
Um,
you're so monotone. I can never understand your emotions. So I'm like,
I
fuck,
know I can't help it. I have
this
no
is so
business doing
mean.
this. I gave Matt and Sean both the option of taking my spot here. Your cat's really wow.
It's bath time. Don't
Really
judge
went
my
at it.
cat.
Okay, okay. All right. It's anyway. Okay, so that's all the questions I had about like that aren't really about the game. Um, Scott says no. Okay, maybe I am the meanest. I don't know. Um,
Go at it.
oh, Corey. Yeah, my dog he's super mean. You've all heard him bark already a few times in here. He hates the plumber. Um, yeah. Again, if anyone has questions, please feel free to drop them in there. Otherwise, we'll move on to some game-specific questions. This is where things get a little scary. If Anna needs to think about what she's
Yeah,
saying
I had to put
first.
him in your room, in your media room.
Oh, did you? Okay, Cecil got put away.
Oh,
That's for the best. Yeah. Poor guy. This might be where Anna needs to like take a breath and think about what she's saying before she says it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, so we haven't revealed too much about really any characters outside of Ray himself. But can you talk a little bit about what kind of guy Ray is?
what kind of guy Ray is?
Yes.
Well, do you want the spoiler No, I'm just joking. Ray is an amazingly awesome guy, and I think he's just trying to find his way. Wait, which Ray? Like,
That's part of this. You can talk about that
I can
a little
talk. I can talk
to some
about
degree.
it. Okay. Your
Hey,
Skype.
why don't you explain? Why don't you explain that? Just in case people don't know, we can't
Okay.
assume everybody in here knows everything about their
Definitely.
game.
So, if you guys don't know, basically we have a dual narrative for Raise the Dead, and we're gonna not only play as Ray as a zombie, but we also get to play as Ray as his human life. And through the story, we get to see how Ray develops as a human and how he actually became a zombie and what are the mysteries that surround why he's a zombie. And then we get, now that he is a zombie, you know, how he remembers his past life and how that's all sort of interconnects and dual narrative, it's going to be awesome. I think that's the basic I can get into without spoiling anything. But Ray, he's a really awesome guy, I would get to know him in real life, but he's just sort of finding out who he is in this world, both as a human and a zombie. I think he's on this giant quest just to discover who he is and who he really wants to be, He's given all these different challenges in life and in afterlife, and he's going to have to make those choices and decide in the end what kind of person he wants to be and how he wants to present himself and how he wants to interact with the people that he cares about. And yeah.
Yeah, which does not mean that our game. Can you still hear me? By the way, my videos I see is frozen.
Yeah, your video froze. Now
Okay.
you're not frozen.
Okay, I don't know what that's about, but anyway, what she said does not mean that this game has a branching story. Just for the record, but Ray does have a lot of. Even though he's a zombie, he's got a lot of questions rolling around in his head over the course of the game. So, yeah, you'll get to play a part in helping him decide to some degree. Anyway, okay, good job.
I didn't spoil
I really-
anything yet.
I know. It's really our game. It's tough because right from the start, actually, there are things that happen like almost immediately in the game that we really just don't. We want to save it for you all to play when you play the game for the first time, and it's super hard, especially when we're running a Kickstarter. It's like we want to talk about all the cool aspects of the game, but we don't, right? Because we want it to be a complete experience when you play it. I'm in all things in life. I'm like super opposed to spoilers. I don't even like watching trailers for movies.
I feel the
Which,
same way.
yeah, which because they tend to spoil everything because they're trying to sell you on it. So it's probably to our detriment to keep a lot of this information. I think if we revealed a lot of this, it might give us a lot more attention and get a lot more people excited. But we're kind of hedging our bets, and we're kind of, is that the right term? I don't think it is. Anyway, we're kind of rolling the dice that when the game comes out, it'll get a lot of good buzz from people that do play it, and then they'll tell their friends, and then they'll go play it, and it'll be fresh in everyone's. They'll all be coming at it with fresh eyes and not already know everything that goes on. So,
Yeah, it's difficult too for me because I'm so excited about this story, and it's really hard for me not to be able just to be like, I like this, or I'm really excited about this aspect in the story. So, and I know it's tough for all you people that are really interested in learning more about the story, but it's going to be worth the wait.
I hope so. I hope so. I just want to tell you, you really probably need to give your cat a flea bath or something. Because
Have you never owned a cat?
I have not, and I will never.
This is like normal kitty bath time.
Okay, all right. He's really. Is it he or she?
She's a lady.
She. Okay. She's not acting like a lady. Not that that means anything. Anyway, never mind. Whew, won't go there.
You're a jerk spying on my cat, giving my cat a bath.
Spying on your
Yeah.
cat. How am I? Okay. Anyway, enough about the cat. So, what are some of the storytelling mechanics that you'll be? Sorry, the delayed laughs here are weird. What are some of the storytelling mechanics that you'll be utilizing in Raise the Dead?
Well, first of all, this is my first time ever writing an actual video game. Before, I have just wrote like novels in Word, so like that's my normal storytelling and how I tell a story. So actually, for the application process itself, I had to learn how to write in screenplay, which is how most video games are written in screenplay versions. So I learned how to do that. So that's totally a new thing, that mechanic that I've learned. But it's also interesting working on the game itself and sort of thinking of things that I've never had to think about in writing before. So like when Chris was demonstrating a level, like they tell me about the levels, and then so I have to be like, well, what if we had this really cool like hidden secret within the level that could open up to more story. So it's not so much mechanics, but it's more of like different ways about thinking about how to write and new experiences in writing, and how you use all of these different aspects to tell a story, which is something that is incredibly awesome to be able to do, because with general just writing novels you just use words, but in this, you use the animations, you use the secrets, you use everything to tell the whole story. So I think in that aspect, that's something that I'm going to be using to help tell the story and help these guys help tell the story.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that, just to elaborate on that a little bit, one thing that it's important to us is to, these days there's a lot of like anti-cutscene feelings out there. People don't typically want to sit there and read text. And while we don't mind reading text, we do understand that the more you can do to keep the player engaged, the better for everyone, really. So one of our goals in this game, actually in particular with the flashbacks, they're all playable. Like in a lot of games, there's a flashback that happens, and it's just you sit there and watch it, and it's a cutscene. There's with a bit of story that plays out. Mm-hmm. But in our game, all of our flashbacks are completely playable and interactive. In fact, we don't really have exact numbers. Sorry. Sorry, the plumber behind us. The flashbacks are fully interactive, and they make up about half the game. You're going to be playing a lot spending a lot of time playing the game as Ray as a human, and that's where a lot of all the backstory comes in. And that also helps us explain a lot about what's happening in the present. So we're really that's probably the aspect of the game that I'm personally most excited about. So super cool. Okay, sorry about that. I think is he done?
Twitch bum.
He's not done. He's not done. He didn't close the door. Okay. I should have done my.
Terramain says Mario question mark. How'd you know?
Oh yeah, right. Mario stopped by. I should really have gone off into a separate room to do this. All right. So some potentially dangerous questions here.
Potentially dangerous.
You didn't tell me not to ask any of these, so I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna ask them anyway and trust.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Who is your? Well, I wonder if.
Well,
why don't you talk a little tiny bit about some of the other characters in the game?
Oh, you're gonna let me do this?
A little bit in very vague terms.
Well, as you know, now I gotta think. Now I gotta think of how I'm gonna word this response. So, tell Matt to be quiet. He's interrupting my thinking. A little bit about the other characters. Well, as you saw, if you watched the trailer, which you can watch it on the Kickstarter page, we see Ray growing up, and through growing up, you make friends. And some of my favorite aspects about writing are being able to experience Ray's friends. How about that? And how he grows up with them, and how their lives all come together. Is that good? Is that okay? Did I
think
spoil
that's
anything?
good. That it's a major spoiler. Ray, as a child, has some friends.
Spoilers, friends.
Yes. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. Someone's looking for a link to the Kickstarter page. Oh, there it is. Sean's on it.
Good job, Sean.
There's a question in the chat here I'm going to ask that is, I think I'll have to answer it.
Okay.
Often when writing a story for the game, well, everybody can read it, but I'll read it anyway. There are story elements that don't make it into the game but are still relevant and entertaining. Will there be additional background story made available over time, maybe on the website or on social media? That's a really good question. We are definitely going to have additional story that isn't going to make it into the game. We've actually already talked about some potential sort of like side missions or side stories involving some of the characters that could come to life in the form of DLC or something like that. We don't have anything figured out yet, but yeah, we honestly, to be honest with you, we haven't explored the possibilities of other options for telling the story, really. But I think when we get closer to release, we would like to do that. I feel like the majority of our kind of side stories are going to make more sense to people that have already played the game. I could be wrong about that. We might start introducing some of the characters in advance and then telling some bits about them ahead of release. But basically, because we're going to have our hands full with finishing the actual game up until it's released, these kinds of things are more likely to happen after release. And yeah, I could see us doing any number of different, I don't know, like a comic book would be cool. Nothing for sure. But we do have.
Hello? Hello? Uh-oh. Hold on. The joys of Skype! So while we wait to get, Christopher was obviously boring us because Skype decided to kick him off. Good. Yeah, so Skype is great, and you should all get Skype. Yeah, now you get to listen to the irritatingness. Hold on, let me see if I can get, Chris back. Oh, don't worry, Sean, I know. Ray, are you there?
Hello?
Hello! Skype decided to be a giant butt. So now you're back. And
Okay.
sorry about that, everybody. The joys of live stream! We can edit that out, though, don't worry.
Okay, cool. All right. I don't know if my babbling came to a conclusion or not. I think I got the point across, I'm guessing, before I cut out.
I think you did.
Okay. I'll short answer is we'll have a lot of extra story. We would love to deliver it somehow. We don't know how we're going to do that.
There we go.
Okay. Right.
Thanks for the question, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I
Hey,
think we already-
Pullbox.
Hey, Mike. Um, okay, some of this we've already kind of touched on, but we'll ask him anyway. Can you talk about how the flashbacks are used to flesh out the story of Raise the Dead?
Yeah, well, so basically there are going to be certain events when you're playing as Ray that are going to trigger these flashbacks. So maybe Ray might see an item or have a conversation, and that might trigger something that he remembers from his former life of being a human. And then, like Chris was saying, you get to play through that flashback and experience the story. So you'll get to see different parts of Ray's life and be able to experience, see his friends and see how he interacts with them, and that's going to be super awesome. I don't know much more that I can say about
No,
that
that's fine. I'll add a little more. Yeah, so
because I don't want to
there are-
spoil.
Sure, there are characters that will appear in both the past and in the present. We're not going to say who or how, but that definitely will happen. Another big thing that the flashbacks do is they serve as a mechanic for teaching Ray and the player new abilities. So, as Anna mentioned, there are certain things in the present that will trigger these flashbacks to occur, and a lot of times it's going to be, sometimes it's just, memories or whatnot, but sometimes it's going to be sort of like a dangerous moment, something that maybe Ray doesn't yet have the capability to deal with. So that moment will trigger a memory that from his past where he, as a human, might have developed some sort of skill that enables him to handle this situation. So he remembers this from his past, and then when you come back to the present, the player was able to try it out in the past, and now should be able to immediately apply that mechanic to the present situation. Yeah, so it's a cool mechanic for teaching that kind of thing. Mike? I haven't touched it. Okay. Am I super quiet to anybody?
I can
Maybe
hear you.
Did anything change on your end, Anna? Sean's just told me that I'm quiet, but I haven't touched anything.
I haven't touched anything on my end. I can still hear you, and so they should be hearing my sound.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, it's
Maybe
registering that you're talking and that it's picking up your voice.
Yeah, other people are saying my sound is lower.
I said a
It's
bit,
little lower, but
not a ton.
Okay, well, I'll try to talk louder, but I'll try to talk less too. I'll let Anna talk some more. So, so it's another tough one, but can you talk about who your favorite character is?
I don't know if I can. Because I feel like even mentioning this character is going to lead to spoilers. But
Well, can you just talk about like the personality of this character and not so much their
oh yeah, so the personality of this character I feel is very dynamic. And I always love a character that has a huge shift in character development, and I feel like this character is through this character's life, certain things happen where this character it's very hard to say things without saying things, is having a troublesome life, and that leads this character to choices that they make that may not be the best choices. And I really like watching this character grow and become who this character becomes, and then seeing a shift and a battle of who this character is and who they really want to be in the end. I know that's super like without spoiling anything.
Yeah, no, that's good. I know what you're talking about. Sorry, I realize for everybody it's probably a little frustrating to hear so many like, oh, we can't talk about this and that. We're really trying not to do that. But yeah, it's happening.
I
Okay.
can say my favorite character is a male. Obviously. There.
Why is that obvious?
Because I like boys.
Okay. For the record, we do have a number of female characters in the game.
Yeah, we do. And they're awesome because
Yeah.
I would not let us have any weak female characters. They're going to be kicking ass and taking names, and I'm really excited to be writing some excellent female characters.
Yeah, they're actually a really important part of the game. Yeah, females are all over. We have female zombies. Um, we're not we're not afraid to let to kill the women's and turn them into zombies. So they're definitely all over the game. We haven't shown really any of the major female characters yet, but again, that's because we don't want to spoil anything. They do show up in the trailer in a couple spots, but anyway, enough about that.
Also, we have some diverse characters, so that's exciting to be able to get to write diverse characters as well.
Yep, for sure. I've got a question here. Let's see, from Mr. Mike, Pullbox Mike. Has the world building process affected the intended story of Ray's journey beyond the original intended plot of how Ray got his bulb and what it ultimately means? Hmm.
I
Has
don't
the
think
world,
so.
yeah, has the world building process affected the intended story? Um, no, I don't think so. I mean, it. Well, I mean, there are times where I wouldn't necessarily attribute it directly to the process of, wait, world. I'm thinking, as the guy that makes the levels, I'm thinking of literally making the levels, but that's probably not what you're talking about. Is that what you're talking about, Mike?
That's what I envisioned in world building.
Okay, maybe Mike, if you could just elaborate a little bit, and then we can
Yeah,
get back to
do
your
you mean like
question.
world building as in like the world of Raise the Dead and the like the 80s, and or like actually like building the video game levels? Cuz those are two
Right.
different world buildings. I bet like both of them, but we would like to be able to answer your question correctly.
Okay, so there's this. Okay, so it was the first option, right? So I
Okay.
guess that would be more a question for you, Anna.
You know, I don't think that in creating the world that they that in helping create the world that they have created, I don't think it changes the story from what they originally had, because they had a very clear idea of the world itself that they were building. As we've seen, it's going to happen in the 80s and it's going to be rockin' and radical. And they gave me a very clear outline of how this world goes and what is intended in the story, and I don't think it's strayed from that, from the world that they built. And I don't think I've had to add much because they did such a good job at creating the world that they had. So I don't think that it's affected the intended story. I think it's pretty much stayed the same, the overall story.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's true. I think the overall arc has remained the same, but there's definitely been a lot of changes and development to a lot of the interpersonal relationships between Ray and some of the characters, and just
Mhm.
other characters with each other. That's all certainly being that's kind of the stuff we mostly wanted to bring in a writer to help out with, because those are the kind of details that we wanted in there, but just didn't have the time to devote to ourselves. So, but yeah, it doesn't. It's not actually throwing Ray's overarching journey off at all. So at least not yet.
Not yet. There's always time for that, right?
Yeah. Um, So it's weird because all these questions I have have all kind of already been touched on. So I don't know if it makes sense to ask any more of these. Um,
Can I
that's
ask you
okay.
what your favorite character is, or who your favorite character is?
Um, no, no, you
No.
can't. No. I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't really talk about my favorite character. Um, but as of right now, it's weird because it actually has changed a lot over the course of working on the game. Because as we define their personalities and their roles a little more, it my my allegiance kind of shifts to different people. But yeah, my favorite character is currently a female.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say. Um, yeah, I really, I feel like there should be a natural flow to this that has us ending after having asked a few more questions about the game itself, but I don't know that there's all that much more that we can talk about that we haven't already talked
Yeah,
about.
it's all covered in layers of secrets and stuff like that.
Right. So, unless I guess unless there's any more questions from anyone else in the chat, we'll kind of wrap it up. I guess I wanted to ask this question just because this is kind of a funny question that they always ask of like um, in Japan they always want like give a message to their fans at the end of their interview. I always think that's kind of fun and cute. So I was wondering if you have any message you'd like to give to the fans of Raise the Dead.
Yes, my message is I'm going to work very, very hard to create the most wonderful and funny story that I can and endearing, and I hope that you all enjoy it. And if you don't, that's okay too, because we all have different opinions. But I want you to know that I'm working really, really hard so that you guys will have a wonderful, wonderful game. And I appreciate all your support,
That's wonderful. Thank you.
of
Um,
course.
and now awkwardly we got another question.
Yeah!
Uh, but that's cool. And this is mostly kind of a silly question. But what's it like writing dialogue for
Oh,
zombies?
I love it. It's really, really fun. Well, can I mention about Ray?
I guess.
Can I?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. I'm going to send him a secret message. All right. But I love writing for the zombies because as the zombies themselves, like it's just when I'm writing like in the literal screenplay, it's just like random noises, like random gurgly monster noises, and I really enjoying being able to tell a story without using words. You know, you have to rely on what actions they can do in the game, whether it's like an exclamation mark above the head, or it's, a nod, or it's a little idea bubble. Like, I really like getting to tell a story without being able to use words. It's really exciting, and those are some of my funny moments because you can do so much when you have a zombie. That zombies don't talk, so you get to have conversations with zombies and make it up, basically. Monster noises. They're good.
I, I answered your question, by the way, so
Oh, you
you can
did?
you can talk about that if you want.
Okay. So another huge aspect of that is for Ray, I'm sure some of us have played like Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross in the past. And if you remember, the one significant thing about those games is that the main character doesn't talk. And Ray is the same way. So in writing the dialogue, along the lines of writing for a zombie, Ray does not talk at all. So I'm having to have conversations with Ray without using any words, and that's really fun to do because it's a good challenge, and it's very interesting to try and get your point across and try and say what Ray is saying without using words. So I like it. I love it. Zombies are adorable.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the bigger challenges in this game is, um, you know, being able to provide motivation for the player, or actually not provide it, but to convey motivation for the player when you have a main character that doesn't talk. And so we've had to be creative with our methods of sort of secondary characters and whatnot that are going to help provide that motivation and provide that guidance to the player and to Ray. So yeah, we're working on that still. We got a couple other questions.
Mm-hmm.
Ragtag Matt would like to know, what do you think about the challenge of having to express the depth of the raise the dead in such a succinct way, i.e., not through cutscenes?
What do I think about the challenge? I think it's a good challenge. I mean, we're all working together to accomplish this story and not just through through cutscenes. And I think there. Oh, see, he forgot a whole word in his question to confuse us.
Okay, he meant the raise the dead characters.
I don't. Now I'm just confused. Hold on. What do you.
Anyway, I think I can probably answer some of
Yeah,
it.
you do that.
Yeah, basically, as I mentioned, we don't want to have the player sitting there reading a bunch of dialogue. So there's a couple ways that we're going to be conveying story and depth through other methods. One of which is the characters themselves, kind of like we just touched on with Ray.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons that we gave all the characters these exaggerated proportions is that we wanted their faces to be visible on screen, even if there's characters and whatnot, because we do plan on actually having them emote a lot with their facial expressions. So while characters may not actually say anything, you should be able to get a lot of how they're feeling and thinking just by looking at their face a lot of times. Another way we want to tell the story is just by it kind of puts a lot on art, but you can tell a lot of story just by the environment that's in the game. The
It's
objects
true.
in the environment, a lot is conveyed through the like wear and tear on an environment. Basically, like all the characteristics that make up your surroundings, those all tell a story too. So we're going to do our best to basically use every tool we possibly can to
Yeah.
help more effectively tell the story of the game. I think that's what he's getting at.
Yeah. Good answer, Chris, there.
Thanks. So Pullbox Mike's wife has a question. What is zombie gibberish? Yeah, so I guess I should answer that. So on our Kickstarter, we had a stretch goal for if we hit $40,000.
Yay! Good job.
Yeah, and we did. That we would add gibberish voice acting to the game.
Yeah, tell me more about this because I'm also interested in this.
Okay, well, so it's actually something that we had. When we went to PAX East last year, we were already working with Ben, our sound designer, and he wanted to get some sort of sound happening when our characters were talking. So this is actually completely him. I don't think we had anything to do with it. He went off and recorded himself. I'm not going to try to do them. I might
Do 'em.
maybe-
No, 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 no.
I could
Do
probably
'em.
pull up some. Will it
Just-
hear it if I play? Anyway, let me talk. I'll finish it. So basically, the character is kind of. It's a mumble. It's gibberish basically. It's not words. It's not English. It's not any language, but there's still emotion in it. You can actually you can tell that they're frustrated, or you can tell that they're happy. You can tell their gender. You can tell their age. It's weird how much information you can actually get from complete nonsense. So, and not to our surprise, but to our delight, I guess, when we brought this to PAX and everybody played it, because we had headphones on so people could listen even though it was loud, people were cracking up. That was actually a lot of people came away saying that was one of their favorite things about the game, was the way these characters sounded. So yeah, so basically this stretch goal sort of guarantees that we are gonna do that all throughout the game, and that's no small thing.
Yeah.
It's not as extensive as voice acting because I think as full voice acting because I think we can still do it with a relatively small number of different people. But we do want to get that. Ben did all the voices in the original demo, in the first round, and that includes male, female, everything. He did a really good job though. But we do want to get a variety of people doing them, and because we're going to have a lot of characters in the game, a lot of them talking, and if there's going to be a lot of this, we want to make sure there's a good amount of variety. So I've been meaning to kind of cut together a quick little video that demonstrates what it is. So I'll try to do that before the end of the Kickstarter so that people can hear it themselves.
I think that all of the ragtag guys should also have their own little cameo gibberish in there for one of the characters. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well,
Yes, yes, it would.
for sure. The funny thing is with our Kickstarter, people that pledge at the highest level get to voice their own character. It could be that they're thinking that they actually get to speak words, and we'll probably have them do that. But we're also going to need them to talk gibberish. So I'm looking forward to not only springing that information on them, but also hearing them actually do it. It should be a lot of fun. And if any of you would like to do that, you can do that for only $2,500.
That's such a low, low price.
It
Sign
is.
me up now.
You'll be immortalized in video game history. Yeah,
Matt has another question.
Matt's so curious today.
I know.
Okay, this is definitely for you, Anna. Am I saying Anna? Anna.
Anna.
Your name's so complicated.
I know. It's German.
What external inspirations do you draw from when writing the Raise the Dead story?
Well, good thing Matt asked this question because Matt has really helped me. Like, we talk a lot about the levels and somewhat of what he thinks about the dialogue, too. It's a constant, like, I'm working with all three of them all at the same time. And, these guys love their 80s horror movies. And I've watched my fair share, but not as many as Matt has. And so he has opened my eyes to so many more horror movies from the 80s, like B-list movies, and they're amazing. So I try and draw inspiration from that based off what they have watched and what they grew up watching as well. Also, I draw inspiration from, I think, the ragtag guys themselves. Whenever I am stuck or anything, I think about what they want, and so they're really a huge inspiration for me as well, just because they are so involved in the story process. Also, inspiration I draw just from going outside. Sometimes, if I'm stuck on something, I'll just walk outside and I'll just think and I'll enjoy, the air around me, and I'll just let my muses talk to me. Inspiration, though, definitely a lot of zombie lore. I love zombie lore, like I had mentioned before. So I draw from every single different aspect I've ever learned about zombies throughout my whole life, and that's a good inspiration as well.
Awesome, yeah. Just to speak for Matt a little bit too, I know that a lot of the story has come from his memories from growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually. It's been interesting for me because I actually didn't know a lot of that at first. But the more and more that we've talked about it over the years, I've come to realize that a lot of the scenarios in the game are things that have come from his own personal experiences and that kind of thing. And that's been really awesome for me to learn because it's allowed me to learn more about him. Good friend of mine, in a really interesting way. So yes, so there's a lot of personal stuff in this game too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
I have one more thing. Definitely, for when we're doing the flashbacks, like I try and have a lot of inspiration from my own life. I write about what I know, and when I want a scene to be a particular emotion, or that we're trying to convey, that these characters are going through this particular emotion, whether it be scared, or whether it be happy, or whether it be maniacal. I just draw from what I've experienced in my own life and how I would feel, and what what I've done in that situation, and that helps me write too.
Yep, definitely. It's funny because one of my initial concerns when we first started talking to Anna about working on the game was that, well, so the game takes place in the 80s, right? So the three of us at Ragtag are all older. We all grew up in the 80s. We were all born prior to the 80s and lived, most of our sort of early childhood through the 80s. And so initially I thought it was super important that our writer also have, been lived through the 80s the same way we did. And is so young that I'm sure you're, well, whatever, we don't need to get into specifics, but anyway, my point is, despite the fact that she doesn't have as much firsthand experience with the 80s as the rest of us, she definitely um, has done her research, not literal research, but just by enjoying all of the wonderful things that came out of the 80s. She's just as up on the 80s as any of us are, probably even more than me because my memory is so terrible. But Matt is definitely the true authority of all things 80s.
He is. If I ever have a question, I'm always gonna go to Matt. I'll be like, "So, what was it like in the '80s?"
Yeah. So anyway, all right. I think that has us done.
Done? So soon, but we just started.
I think an hour is a good long time to listen to a couple people babble.
I wasn't babbling.
I
Maybe
was
you were
always
babbling. I wasn't babbling.
I was so.
Yeah, so thank you guys, everybody, for being a part of this and being here and just showing your support. Like, I know words can't even begin to explain how grateful we are for you guys being so supportive and being here and being interested in the story and being interested in, what Chris and Matt and Sean are doing. So anything you guys continue to do. How many days do we have left on our Kickstarter, by the way? I haven't looked at it today.
9,
9. So
I think.
thank you for every ounce of support you guys have shown us and that you will continue to show us for the next 9 days. And like I said, I look forward to helping put my emotions and my words and my dialogue into such an amazing project. And I'm just so grateful to be here for you guys.
Thank you so much. We're very grateful to have you on board too. You got super lucky. So.
All right, well, I'll sign off then, I guess. I'll stop streaming. Oh, well, wait. When are you guys doing this again?
So, the only one that is 100% confirmed is a super exciting one.
Is it?
Yes, I'm excited about it. So, Mr. Jake Kaufman is doing the soundtrack for our game, and you may know him from he's been doing this a while. He most recently made the Shovel Knight soundtrack, so which is all the rage right now. We have a couple songs that he's done for the game up on the Kickstarter page. Anyway, he is going to be doing a live composition of a new song for our game Wednesday night next week, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So another cool thing is actually at night. We haven't done many of these at night, so hopefully a lot of you can actually see it live. But I'm really excited to see him. He's been amazing. He's been like so cool to work. I mentioned earlier how Anna she won a lot of points with us for just sort of like instinctively understanding what it is we want with the dialogue. Jake is exactly the same way with the music. We have to say hardly anything to him, and he just nails it. I mean, we give him a brief overview of what's going on in the level, and we haven't had to ask him to redo anything yet. It's really, I don't want to jinx it, but he's been amazing to work with. So anyway, I'm really excited to see him do this live. And we also told him that Matt would dance the entire time in the background.
That would be awesome.
While he's doing it. And he said he goes for like 2 to 3 hours, so I'm anxious to see how that goes. So anyway, so yeah, that's going to be right on, I think it's going to be on the Raise the Dead channel. I hope so. And yeah, Wednesday night. We're going to have a couple of other ones too. I'm pretty sure Matt's really enjoying the live streaming, so I think he's going to probably do something else.
Yeah, so definitely if you guys haven't followed, click the little follow button and follow so you can get all the updates whenever Matt jumps on.
Yep, please do so. All right, I think that's it. I just put a link to our Thunderclap in the comments there. It's this weird thing where if you sign up and you like give them access to your Twitter account, they'll all like it sends out tweets from everybody's account all at once. We're trying it out. I don't know how effective it is, but we'll give it a shot. Can't hurt. So sign up for that if you don't mind. And thanks for coming.
All right,
Thanks
we'll
for
talk
the
to you
support.
guys later. Bye bye.